Greetings, folks. Today is Monday, April 1st, 2019, technically called All Fools Day. It's the only day I feel comfortable celebrating the Trump presidency. All right. I always try to say something silly. All right. Yes, I'm in a better mood today than I had been. I was really saddened by some things even that I have done, and so the weekend was a somber weekend and a weekend of reflection. All right. Okay, I'm going to do something that I have not heard anybody else do. The media is not doing its job. I have not heard or seen one report of this. Now, maybe I'm just not looking at the right places. But the fact is, I have not heard this. And I try to keep up with the news. Anyway, this was a press release from the office of Representative Ilhan Omar. March 8th, 2019, Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota today voted for H.R. 1. Now, let me tell you what H.R. 1 is. H.R. 1 is, the title of H.R. 1 is For the People Act of 2019. And I'll give you the link where you can go check that out. Okay. For the People Act 2019. All right. It's a set of historic reforms designed to end the culture of corruption in Washington. Ooh. They're trying to drain the swamp. The bill ends the dominance of big money in our politics and empowers American citizens to establishing a voluntary small donor matching system funded by wealthy tax cheats and corporate lawbreakers, shines a light on secret money in politics through increased donor disclosure requirements, and strengthens campaign finance oversight. The bill includes the Protect Against Unlawful Lobbying Act, authored by Representative Omar, which strengthens the Foreign Agents Registration Act and makes sure that lobbyists representing foreign countries act in good faith and operate within full transparency. The final legislation also contained an amendment offered by Representatives Omar and Pramila Jayapal that prohibits lobbying on behalf of foreign countries identified by the Secretary of State as engaging in consistent pattern of gross violations of internationally recognized human rights. Until we are able to create a fair election system and ensure everyone's right to participate in our democracy, we will continue to face barriers to the transformative change we seek, Representative Omar said. With H.R. 1, House Democrats have passed a once-in-a-generation reform package to restore the promise of our democracy and repair our institutions. I am particularly proud that the final bill includes my legislation to strengthen enforcement of foreign lobbying and my amendment to crack down on lobbyists who represent human rights abusers. H.R. 1 is a bold declaration to the American people that the Democratic majority gets it. We want to build a democracy that actually works for the people, because when we do, government will become more responsive to the needs of everyday Americans. If we give regular Americans a seat at the table and the tools to be heard. I have mixed emotions about this. First of all, I like the idea of cutting down on lobby and PAC influence on our government. The question I have, though, is this constitutionality. Do the federal government, does the federal government have the constitutionality to pass any kind of campaign finance? I wonder this because of there's nothing in the Constitution that authorizes the Congress to regulate campaign finance. We don't have federal elections. We have state elections. State run the elections, and they regulate elections. So I'm not sure this meets with constitutional muster. However, I like the idea of protecting against unlawful lobbying. That might be constitutional. Okay, let me tell you something. I think this goes into divided loyalties. Does it not? I mean, who are you going to be loyal to? Are you going to be loyal to people who give you money, or are you going to be loyal to the American people? And this is an argument that's been going on for a long time. I mean, loyalties between the United States and foreign countries, that has been the issue from the beginning. Here's an article by the Washington Times. It's entitled Divided Loyalties. It goes back to Monday, December 12, 2005. It reads, Undivided loyalty strengthens. Dual citizenship weakens. Do you hear that? Now, this was said back in 2005. Where was the uproar? The U.S. Supreme Court circumscribed the nation's ability to defend itself against dual citizenship, featuring loyalties to foreign masters in Afroyim v. Rusk in 1967. By holding U.S. citizenship could be lost only by voluntary renunciation. Representative Sam Graves, Missouri Republican, plans to propose an amendment to the immigration bill next Thursday to blunt the folly of Afroyim by criminally punishing acts that signal disloyalty to the United States. For example, serving in a foreign army or as an official in a foreign state. It should command universal support. The United States is defined by common habits, customs, ideas, and values. For example, self-initiative, the rule of law, religious freedom, and self-government. The Founding Fathers recognized divided political or cultural loyalties could endanger the nation's unity and viability. They had that right. In 1974, President George Washington lettered Vice President John Adams, the policy of immigration taking place in a body, I mean settling them in a body, may be much questioned, for by so doing, they retain the language, habits, and principles, good or bad, which they bring with them, whereas by an intermixture with our people, they or their descendants get assimilated to our customs, measures, and laws. In a word, soon become one people. So, division was an issue that goes back to the beginning. George Washington was very concerned about unity and disunity. James Madison urged a welcome mat for immigrants eager to assimilate, but the exclusion of persons unlikely to incorporate themselves into our society. You hear that? At the same time, they didn't have immigration policies. They had policies, but there was no rule of immigration. Alexander Hamilton advised America's success would pivot on preservation of a national spirit and a national character, embraced equally by the native-born and immigrant, that a republic's safety rested upon a love of country and the exemption of citizens from foreign bias and prejudice, and that gradual assimilation would enable aliens to get rid of foreign and acquire American attachment to learn the principles and imbibe the spirit of our government. These views found expression in the Naturalization Acts of 1795. The statutes required would be citizens to satisfy a court of admission as to their good moral character and of their attachment to the principles of the Constitution. Equally important, they required an oath of renunciation and allegiance to protect against citizens whose hearts or minds remained in foreign lands. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am familiar with this because when I was a teenager, when I was in high school, and I was in concert choir, we were often called upon to sing at Law Day exercises. Now that was what, May 1st? I think Law Day is May 1st. Anyway, but we went to Law Day exercises, and on Law Day, this is where people become citizens. That's one of the things that goes on. And I witnessed people taking that oath. All right? I don't remember who they were. I just remember the people were taking an oath. The founders did everything they could to eliminate dual loyalties. It was a obviously it's still a problem. But this time, dual loyalty is not from birth. It's by money. You have a foreign country, and they got people in the United States that support them, and then they give money to members of Congress. So Congress is deciding it's going to be loyal, or at least partially loyal, to that foreign country. Now, folks, isn't this what Representative Omar has been talking about? So, the media obviously is not doing their job. If they did, you know that what she was doing in her discussions about lobbies and PACs and foreign countries and all that. She was promoting this bill. But we've got a stupid media that obviously don't care about the American people. This is a bill designed to strengthen the American people. And the media is crying foul. Oh, they're not telling you we don't like this bill. They're just attacking Ilhan Omar for promoting this bill. Now, you go ahead. Give a listen to her speeches. Didn't she talk about foreign lobbies? Didn't she talk about foreign PACs? Yeah, she mentioned Israel. It is a nation that has a lobby, a very large lobby. It's not the largest lobbies, obviously. I found out that the largest lobbies are held by people who manufacture war machines. All right? But Israel. Well, by the way, does Israel own any of them? That would be interesting. Okay. Israel is a foreign country. Now, I think it's plain, and I think she pointed out, we have a government that cares more about money than they do the American people. Now, what's wrong with that? Here comes this bill, and now we know. She's been promoting this bill. But is the media going to say, oh, well, now this is a press release on March the 8th. Did you hear about this bill? By the way, I don't know what it's supposed to be. It should be in the Senate by now. I don't know what the Senate's going to do. The Senate is run by Republicans, and they're a bunch of idiots, if you ask me. I will tell you something. If I was a Democrat, I would hope Ilhan Omar would be the face of my party. Because she's doing what she's doing for the American people. Now, she wasn't born here. She's a naturalized citizen, but you've got these idiots that are born here that are not as for the American people as she is. How do you explain that? And I'm so grateful to her for bringing all this to our attention. That's why I say, great vote, Representative Omar. So, folks, it's amazing. You know, anybody with an ounce of sense will know that she's been promoting this bill. Now, I will give you links to these articles that I've read from. And hopefully you will understand as I do that she has been promoting this bill. Hey, Glenn Beck! Do you understand it? I'm sorry, I'm not going to call him a name. Okay, it came into my mind, but I'm going to dismiss it. But that's what you are. Glenn Beck, what do you think about this? Maybe I should ask all the conservatives out there. What do you think about this bill? Do you know anything about it? I mean, I don't listen to Rush Limbaugh. I don't listen to Sean Hannity. I really don't listen to conservative talk radio. Most of my news I get either on CBS or NBC or Fox, because I'm talking about local news. As far as national news is concerned, the only place I can get that is NBC and CBS. And occasionally I do that, but often it goes up against Family Feud. There's two things on at 6 o'clock that I like better than the news: Family Feud and Last Man Standing. So they come ahead of the news. I'm sorry, they just do. But if if they aren't on, I will listen to the news. Most of my news I get from the internet. Yeah, I get it from the internet. That's how I found out about this bill. This For the People bill. Yep. That's how I found out about it. For the People Act of 2019. So, folks, I have not seen, listen, on YouTube, I can watch Tucker Carlson, which I do occasionally. I've listened to Glenn Beck, obviously. Not once did I hear any of these people say anything about this bill. Because if they did, their audience would maybe link what she's saying with that bill. Okay? And then they would look silly. Well, they look silly anyway. So I've got mixed emotions about this bill. I don't know whether it's constitutional or not. But if it is, I think it's a great bill. And therefore, it's a great vote. Hey, listen, I'm way over time again. I don't like to go this long, but anyway, thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.